And so, men, you need to learn to live with your wives in an understanding way. You're never going to figure your wife out. I'll just go ahead and tell you that now, not completely. But I don't say that in making fun way. I say that in a beautiful, mysterious, great way. And so we need to live with our wives. And then he says this, in an understanding way. You've probably heard this from me before. I think it was a few years ago I said it, but have you ever seen the book on understanding men? It's about that thick, right? We're pretty simple guys. Have you ever seen the book on understanding women? Well, it's about that thick, and it's still not finished yet. And so here's the thing. Men, we need to, as the phrase has said, we need to have a PhD in understanding our wives. Because you're going to spend the rest of your life understanding your wife. There's going to be fresh angles that's going to hit you on your wife because your wife is such a complex character. Us guys, we've only got a few cells between the left and the right brain, so sometimes our feelings and emotions don't always connect with the logic all the time, and it takes a little while for us to figure things out. You know, Rhonda asked me how I feel about things sometimes. You know what I said sometimes? I don't know yet. I got to think about it. And I'm just being honest with her because I got to process it. But guess what? My wife and most of you women have never lacked for how you felt about something the moment you saw it or felt it. Man, boom, you knew exactly how you felt. And so women are a complex character. They're made differently. And God designed you different than men. You're to be a helper, to come alongside, to correspond. Not helper as in less than valuable, to come alongside. God made the man first, and the woman comes from the man that he leads her in a loving way, but they correspond to complete in a great way. Where I'm lacking, God has given me my wife of 30 years. I didn't realize how much I need what was lacking in my life by her strengths in her life. And so, men, you need to learn to live with your wives in an understanding way. You're never going to figure your wife out. I'll just go ahead and tell you that now, not completely. But I don't say that in making fun way. I say that in a beautiful, mysterious, great way. That we spend the rest of our lives understanding our wives, learning and living with them. And I stand before you today as a husband that, man, I want to get better at that in my life. That in that era of the Roman time, they were only to maintain the house and children. And that challenge given in this first century of 1 Peter was to live in a way to understand and appreciate, have a friendship and a relationship with their wife. That was cutting edge. That was so countercultural in that day, and it kind of is at times today. We know Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. It's one of my favorite verses. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and don't lean to your own, what? Understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he'll direct your paths or straighten your paths. So don't lean on your own understanding of your wife. Seek God for how you can understand your wife better. Here's what Isaiah says about God. One of my favorite verses, one of the first verses I learned as a child, Isaiah 40:28. Do you not know, have you not heard? The Lord is the everlasting God, the creator of the whole earth. He never becomes faint or weary, and there is no limit to his understanding. You and I are all limited in understanding. Husbands and wives, men and women, single, married, but there's no limit to God's understanding. There's maybe an analogy I could use that a husband's job is to set the temperature in the home. He's to be the thermostat. The woman is the thermometer. She's going to give you a temperature reading. When the reading of the thermometer ought to reflect a setting that's more warm and it's more cold, maybe the man needs to realize who he is as a thermostat of how he sets the temperature.